Hi everybody, I am so delighted to be here again. If this video resonates with you, as always, share it out. And if you haven't subscribed to my new channel, which is this, please do so now, and obviously give it a like. This video is prompted by some messages that I've received recently and over many months actually, with regard to the times that we are living in, and the phrase uncertain, strange times. We have heard it a million times at this stage. And let's look at it. When have you ever been certain of a time in your life? There is actually no such thing. There is no such thing as uncertain times. We have never in our lives, from the beginning we were born to the beginning of time, been certain about anything. People, our bodies, our homes, our relationships, you cannot be certain or have control over anything. So we want to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about the 3 R's that can blast through that notion so that you can live in this chaotic world at the moment in a state of calmness. So we either have chaos or we have calm. So that's really what we need to be focusing on. And guess what? We're in total ownership of how we feel in our mind. Yes, we may respond to certain things initially, but then we can get back in the driver's seat. So I'm going to talk about that. Everybody really knows that the main emotion that would trigger for people at the moment is fear. And that's understandable. It's the unknown. People are afraid of the unknown. It's that, monster under the bed, the test result that we don't know that we're going to pass, or the test result that is going to be positive. It's the unknown that makes us afraid. And that's an important differentiation. Fear is not a thing. Fear is a feeling that is triggered moment to moment. And that feeling is felt in our body as a physical sensation. And we have a part of our brain called the limbic system, which is a collection of structures, and that has the fight or flight responses, we call it in psychology. And that basically is like a little alarm ringing when your brain perceives a threat. It tells you to physically respond and get ready for a fight or run. That's essentially it in basic terms. The tricky part is that part of the brain at a neurological level, when it's emotionally hijacked, if you like, cannot think straight. It doesn't think logically in that state. It also can't tell the difference between what's real or imagined at a neurological level. It just responds as though it is. So for example, you could go to a horror movie, you know the actors, you know that the whole thing is not real, that it's directed, it's a script, there's special effects, there's green screen. Yeah, you've got your hands over your eyes, your heartbeat is racing, your blood pressure has gone up, purely because your brain, your limbic system part of your brain, thinks that it's happening for real and responds physically as though it is, and then cuts off logical thinking. It's only when we bring back those emotions to a state of calm that thinking opens up and we can think reasonably and rationally. So at the moment, a lot of people aren't behaving, or they're not thinking rationally, because it's a state of emotionally hijacked. That's what people are at the moment, emotionally hijacked. There's that divide, we either love people or we hate them. You should do this or you should do that. We're afraid or we're angry. They're states of emotions that aren't useful. So let's bring it back to calm. Calm is the best state that you can possibly be in, because it allows you to think for yourself, it allows you to think clearly, and it allows you to think in a rational way. So in order to do that, we need to think of 3 R's. We want to review, we want to represent, and we want to restore. And I'll go through those 3 R's in a moment. First, let's look at the way our brain downloads information. And I use the word download because it takes stuff in. So if you imagine your brain is like a phone, and you get your phone when you're born, you have a brain and it's basic. When you get a phone, it's basic. And over time, you start to download apps onto your phone. The same, we download information onto our brain. So your accent that you have was got because you downloaded it and you practiced it over and over, and it just became almost natural to you. The same way right now, social media is almost natural to you, where at the beginning you had to kind of figure it out. So when we download information from our environment, our brain responds. And that information comes to us from all sources, from our family, the people we're around, the social media, everything that we basically are exposed to in our environment. So it's almost like environmental programming, and we respond to that. So essentially what happens is our brain represents, or it sees that stored information of that app, it views it in a certain way. So when that app is engaged, when we open it, when it's triggered, we start to behave the exact same way as we ordinarily would when we practice it. So it's like when you open up YouTube or you open up Facebook, you expect it to happen in a certain way, in a certain sequence. It should look a certain way. You press a button and it should, such a thing would happen. And we all know that to be true, but from our brain, if we press a button, our brain has also stored information. So when you press it, this is what happens. When you fear the unknown, this is what happens. And at the moment, there's a lot of this is what happens, but it's just happening everywhere. So it's chaos. We need to bring it back to calm. So in order to do that, we need to deal with that app or that piece of information that we're responding to in such an emotional way that we're becoming hijacked. So the first one is to review. Stop. I want you to review. Perhaps this situation isn't all bad. You don't have control over everything, but what can you do to create calm in the areas in your life where you feel that you can have some structure and routine around? How can you manage that? How can you take back ownership of your life so that you're not being run by fear? That's the first thing. The second thing is represent. Represent. You have to represent the information to your brain in a different way. It's not what happens to us that makes us afraid. It's how we deal with what happens with it that actually makes the difference. So how can you represent? How can you look at the information differently in the present tense? So once you've stopped, once you review it, and then once you represent it. So how can you see this chaos that's going on in the world in a more productive way? Can you see the opportunities within it? Can you see the new people that you could meet, maybe on social media or through various different online mediums? Can you see it as an opportunity to spend time with your family? You've got to start loading positives onto it. So when you press that button, your brain opens up those positives. And also looking for gratitude. Gratitude, never underestimate it, is one of the most powerful things. Gratitude, in a way, saved my life. When you build things on abundance, you can't build things on lack. Is to look at all of the things that we don't have in life is like quicksand. It just sucks us under. When we think of even the small things, I have my eyes, you're viewing this, or your ears, you can hear this, your hands, your heart, your body, the people in your life, they're all things that you can stack abundance on to create a really solid foundation. So when you press that button, everything opens up and it's really, really good. The third one is to restore. Once you've practiced your review and your re-represent, once you've practiced that, you're storing information differently. And once you've got that difference in your mind, you can't respond the same way. So when you focus intentionally in the present moment on what you're doing, look at what you've been influenced by. Is that giving you a feeling of chaos or calm? If it's not giving you a feel of calm, shut it off. It's not helpful. It's not productive to your thinking. So when you open up those social media headlines, don't open them anymore. By the headline is meant to scare you because obviously it's create impact. Don't even open them. You know, what use is it to your thinking? How does it make you think more clearly? How does it make you more productive? When you have conversations maybe with people who are saying negative things to you or criticizing you or telling you you're not good enough or you'll never amount to anything, cut it off. You don't need that. Don't ask, how are you? Don't ask questions. What do you mean by that? Et cetera, et cetera. There's opening it up for elaboration, which is an elaboration that you don't need. Importantly, what kind of people do you need right now? What kind of stimuli or downloads can you put into your brain so that you can stack positive stuff? So that when you're out in that chaos, you can just press your button and things change in the proper right way, in a way that's productive for you, in a way that gives you solutions, in a way that makes you productive, not reactive. And essentially,